Rikkki ROXX, and you are listening to ROXX100.com.
The Big Rock.
The Big Rock. Keeping the music alive.
Bon Jovi. Lenny Kravitz.
Hey, all you rockers. This is Johnny J, your host for The Big Rock. Catch me right here on ROXX 100 as we are keeping the music alive, rocking the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The Big Rock on ROXX 100.
Rock. The Big Rock. The Big Rock.
Everything that rocks. Rocks.
Hey kids, would you like to be a rock god the likes of David Lee Roth in his heyday? Then you need to get the
RIKKI ROXX Rock God Starter Kit.
Each kit comes complete with black nail polish, eyeliner, sparkly scarf, an actual chick magnet, a velvet jacket to make all the girls go wild, and an over-the-hat skull cap with bandana accessory. Act Now will also include a handy booklet showing you all the best places to wear your sunglasses at night. Regularly a $29.95 value, now yours free when you take advantage of this fabulous offer. But don't act just yet. We'll also throw in a wall poster chart diagramming all the best rock faces to enchant your audience, proven to wet the ladies' panties in mere seconds. For all you newbies, this great kit also includes a CD demonstrating how to push your voice for the radio, taught by RIKKI ROXX himself. So quit being a big puss and man up rock style with the
RIKKI ROXX Rock God Starter Kit.
Now yours for just $29.95 plus $99.95 shipping and handling. Call now. 1-800-ROCK-GOD. That's 1-800-ROCKGOD. Now. Operators and tattooed hookers are standing by to take your order.
Feel your best before making an arrest. What you gonna pick? Cop pockets when you don't want something salady. Avoid police brutality. What you gonna pick? Cop pockets.
Cop Pockets, filled with juicy jelly, mouth-watering maple and bacon, and creamy custard on a crispy donut.
When you want an easy meal while you're busting that your deal. What you gonna pick? Cop Pockets.
The cop meal in a pocket.
What you gonna pick? Cop Pockets.
Did you wake up this morning with a nasty rash and nothing but regret? Did you go home with a sweaty bass player last night? Did you wake up wanting to chew your own arm off because some skank's laying on it? Are you feeling a burning, itching sensation in your crotchal region? Do you feel like you need to scratch your ass with tree bark? Are you walking around like you were banged with a Scud missile? Did you meet someone at the bar you thought would actually call you back? Idiot! Then you need Skankosporin. It'll cool that burning sensation before you do the walk of shame to the cab. That's Skankosporin Itch Paste.
Available at In-N-Out Party Stores, Bottles and Stuff, 8 Mile Liquor, and Cunningham Drugs.
With a quickness, look at you and I became a witness to the things you do. Your perfection for infection, like a fool I never thought to question. All you said was true. Deception, and now you think I don't know. Now I can see. And it's unknown who you're with and when you're gonna come home. I feel so abused. Start to question your reputation. I hear your name in every conversation. All has come unglued. Confessions that you don't want me to know. Now I can see. Like a disease, and I've heard this all before. I'm crawling back for more. Now I can see you're like a disease, and you're the pain that's following me. Now I can see you're like a disease, and poison never seems to stay away.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Ricky rocks, Ricky rocks. It's Ricky rocks, coming out of the box. Bitches come in flocks, trying to steal his jocks. He needs to be contained with padded rocks. It's the Ricky Rock Show, spreading like the pox. Ricky rocks, Ricky rocks. Ricky rocks, Ricky rocks, yeah. Ricky rocks, Ricky rocks. Ricky rocks, Ricky rocks, yeah. Ricky rocks up in your grill, motherfucker.
Yeah, that was abrupt, but here we are. Okay, that works. All right, everything is kicking. All right, here we go. I was not prepared. So here we are, episode number 134 of the Ricky Rock Show right here on Rocks100.com. I'm Ricky Rocks, joined as always by the infamous mic dropper himself, Larry Smith. How you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Doing good. Must be nice. Oh, God, I got to turn that down. So, yeah, we got a killer show. God, what do we have going on? I had to rush to get all this together. We're going to have our nuts and bolts and harsh truths coming up in a few minutes. This is going to be a question that I think, Larry, you're going to have a definite opinion on. We have our Pump It or Dump It Band of the Week we're going to be getting to in a little bit. Of course, our Beer of the Week. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be talking to ASHTON Blake from the band Native Sons out of Louisville, Kentucky. And a whole bunch of cool stuff. And God, I am sucking ass today. This fucking sucked. This is horrible. Ugh. It's been quite possibly the worst couple days of my life. The last couple days, and I'm obviously not on my game today. So if I suck, let me know in the chat and share this and be like, hey, let's all laugh at Ricky and make fun of his horrible show. So right away we're gonna God, that feeling. I hate this. God. All right, so let's get to nuts and bolts and our truths. Let's try to keep this on track. This week, our nuts and bolts and harsh truths question comes from Tommy out of Pittsburgh, PA. If you guys have a question that you want us to answer, send us an email, rocks100radio@gmail.com. Like I said, Tommy from Pittsburgh's got a question this week. He asks, hey, fellas, I've been playing with this band for the last year or so. We have played anything and everything that has come across our plate, sometimes 2 to 3 shows a week, but we can't seem to gain any traction. What do we need to do to start getting more people to show up? We love playing shows, but playing in front of 3 people at 1 a.m. gets old. Thanks. Larry.
I say pick and choose your shows wisely. You know? Well, I mean, if you're playing a lot of shows,
yeah,
you know, you're going to get your fans there. But if you're playing a lot, your fans aren't going to come every single time.
Right.
You know, I guess it's all in the promotion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see bands like, you know, Gutter Swamp, when they throw something, flyers everywhere. I mean, they're here, they're in Hamtramck, they're over there, they're you know, they're passing their flyers and sticking them on, you know, everybody's windows and stuff. So
yeah.
you gotta get out there and
hit the streets
and get your name out there. Yeah. You know, even if people don't know you, you know, like they're gonna look at it and go, you know, you might get 1 or 2 that say, I'll go check it out. You know?
Yeah. See, the thing that happens, you know, in my experience, when you're running this thing where you're playing 2 to 3 times a week, you start getting a name or a reputation about you that you guys are a band that will play any bullshit show that comes up. And, you'll have the promoters hit you up. They're like, ugh, God, I need one more band for this show. And it's not looking too good as far as people showing up. Maybe if we add another band, maybe we'll get a couple more people, that kind of bit. So you're going to, playing 2 to 3 shows a week, you're going to build a bad reputation. I know a lot of bands feel like they're burning a bridge if they say no to a show. It's like, man, I can't tell this promoter no because then he'll never hit me up again. That's not going to happen. It doesn't happen like that unless, Pittsburgh, PA has 5 zillion phenomenal bands. The promoter will come back and hit you up and all this. Don't be afraid to say no. That kind of piggybacks off what you said about, being selective about your shows. You play too much, you build that reputation of, playing any show. And then when you do play those shows, you're not drawing as much, like you said, you're thinning your crowd out. So now not only are you the band that will play any show, you're the band also that only draws 1 or 2 people, so you're kind of stabbing yourself twice by doing that. Don't be afraid to say no. And when you do play a show, like you said, Gutter Swamp, make it out to be the biggest fucking show in the world. Right. Make it an event. That's why I only really promote 1 or 2 shows a year anymore because, it's hard to, properly promote a show isn't really anything more than just a local show. Right. Like the birthday show. That's an event type thing. But if I was just like to book a random Saturday and just schlep a bunch of bands on there's nothing really special about it, so, when you're choosing your shows, choose shows that actually mean something, whether there's somebody's birthday show or a CD release or, sell some tickets for a national show, and, that's the thing, national shows, as much flack as they get, you're still playing in front of a shit ton more people. And, you actually have to work, at promoting that one because you're probably gonna have to sell tickets and all that stuff. And so, yeah, be nitpicky on shows. Don't be afraid to negotiate with promoters. If it's, a national show and they want you to sell, just an example, like $15 tickets and you get to keep $2 out of it, be like, okay, well, we'll do it, but you need to give us $7 a ticket. Promoters more likely than not will be like, all right, fuck it. It's an extra couple bucks. It's not coming out of my pocket. It's just coming off ticket sales that they sold. So don't be afraid to negotiate. Pick your shows wisely. Don't play. That's the worst thing you can do. Mostly a year into a band. Howie, when he did Hard Edge, he talked about this, and I remember it very vividly. Or no, it was on a documentary that he was on. He was talking about, when a band first starts, yeah, of course, for 2 or 3 months, play anything you can get, get familiar with stages, get familiar with, how your band is live, because, it's a different thing when you're in the basement rehearsing than it is when you're on stage in front of 5s of people, so yeah, your first couple months as a band, yeah, go play as much as your little heart desires. But once you kind of get that feel of what you guys are on stage and have, worked on it and got it down, then start scaling it back, do, 1 show a month, or, if 2 really good shows come up, do that. And then you will start seeing more people coming out to those shows, and another thing Howie said was, he was like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have 20 people at 1 show or 5 people at 4 shows? Right. Those 20 people are going to show up. Would you rather have them all at 1 show or spread them out over 4? So that's the thing. Be very picky on the shows. You don't have to take everything that's thrown your way. I know it seems like you're gonna piss promoters off, but you won't. When I do book shows and they're like, man, we would, but we have another show the week before. I'm like, awesome. I wouldn't, if I would have known you were playing a show a week before, I wouldn't have booked you because I know you're gonna be spreading yourself thin. You're not gonna be able to focus everything on this one show. And as I say that, there's a band playing the birthday show that has a show the day before, but.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that kind of popped up. I'm like, motherfucker, really? So it's a thing. Derek Janey in the chat, what's going on? Dave Hurley popped in for a second. I think he popped in and popped out. Dave Hurley, the guy who helped Casting Shadows with our tour and all that last year. So super cool. So hopefully, Tommy in Pittsburgh, that helped you out a little bit. If you guys could share this on your social media, it's looking pretty dismal. Oh, Jeff Land popped up right as we're gonna get into what went on this weekend. Larry, what's new since last week?
Not a whole lot, man. I didn't do nothing this week. I had my kids, so sat home and chilled and did the dad thing.
Awesome. So you guys are gonna get gearing up to get ready for the big, huge show this Saturday. 13th annual Rikki ROXX birthday blowout going down at Simon's After Dark in Allen Park. The lineup for that one is Fallen Stronger, Sideline, Casting Shadows, Fatal, Conceit, and Crafted Conviction. Tickets $10 at the door, and it is all ages. If you're under 18, make sure you bring a parent. That's kind of the compromise I had to make. So for people that are going to be coming out to the show or whatever, what do you guys got lined up? New stuff, new merch, plug it, do it.
We do have new merch. Rich Thompson, Bang Shifter, hooked us up with some nice shirts. Two different designs.
Oh, look at you.
No. Yeah. So we're going to have, shirts, hats, stickers, CDs. We got a couple covers we're going to play. We got a new one we're going to play. Nobody's ever heard before. So it'll be the first time. Yeah.
Cool. I think Casting might actually be playing a new song. I know there's one song we have that's pretty much ready to go. I thought we were going to play it this week, a couple days ago, but we didn't do it. But, so there might be a whole bunch of new material coming out this Saturday. So it's going to be super cool. Speaking of Casting Shadows, we had a show. It was a thing. Your boy Rikki ROXX drank too much again.
No.
Yeah, that's a thing. So we played a show with Gangway, a band I had never really heard of, but I guess like the guitar player, played with like George Lynch and Rat and stuff like that, and so he's been around for 100 years, obviously. So they were coming to town or they were playing, and a friend of mine was like, "Dude, I think Casting would be a good fit on it." So I pitched it to the guys months ago, and they're like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." And so we were direct support, and this is what kind of blew my mind about that show. First, it was the first show that had Don and Chad back in the band after probably like 7-ish months, since those two were in the band. And, so getting that, doing that was nervous, because it's like, man, we haven't played a live show with you two in like 7 months or 6 months or whatever. And, it's one thing to go practice, but, it's another thing when you do a show,
right.
But everything went great. The thing that really blew me away was, if you haven't been to the Token Lounge before, it has the main floor, and then right behind the floor, there's tables and seats and all this. So when the first two, I think there was two bands before us, played, a majority of people were sitting down, they may be standing up next to the table, but nobody was right up on the stage and all that. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of those shows, because Gangway, older people, obviously older fans,
right.
Maybe don't want to stand up, maybe aren't the get right in front of the speakers and throw the horns kind of thing. And maybe it's going to be one of those gigs. So we get up there, we start playing. I was nervous as balls for some reason or another. I was nervous. I never get nervous. I played in front of hundreds and hundreds of people and never got nervous. This show, I got fucking nervous. So get up there. Starts out, we played great, and slowly I just see more and more people, coming up to the stage, and they're like wearing Casting Shadows t-shirts. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck these people are, but they're all rocking Casting Shadows gear. And, finding out from Jeff that we did really well on merch. So, people had come out to see us at this show. It blew my mind because it's like Castings from Port Huron. This is in Westland. So if you don't know Metro Detroit, Port Huron's not even in Metro Detroit. It's up by Sarnia, up there. Right. And Westland is like in the southwest part of Metro Detroit. It's a hour and a half drive to get from Port Huron to Westland. But there were a shit ton of people that wanted to see Casting, which was really super cool. And, the big thing that, for me as a dad, this is kind of like a dad moment thing. When, there was a kid, I think it's one of Jeff's friends had a kid like 7 or 8 years old or something like that. Never been to a rock show before. His first show ever was a Casting Shadow show. And supposedly he knew Falling Down, the big hit that we're going to have to play until the day we die, and we're like, okay, let's bring him on stage to do the Falling Down, 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 that part. And so he got up there and we brought the mic down for him. And there was another little girl there that came to see Casting. So we put her up there too. I don't think she had two shits. She didn't know what the fuck the song was. She's standing there like, what the fuck am I doing up here? That kid was just down, down, down. And I'm like, dude, super fucking cool, and, so it's super cool to me, as like getting to that point of being an old fuck, where you get those, kids coming out that actually want to see live bands and all that. And, very first ever rock and roll show. And he loved it. And supposedly, talking to his mom, he wants to come to more. Casting Shadows is his favorite band. And I'm like, oh shit, get him young, so it was cool, and then after the show, the partying commences. not gonna get too deep into this train wreck, but oh man, let's just say I gotta knock off the sauce a little bit, so oh, yeah. It was a thing, people, a lot of people, not a lot, but a couple people got really kind of pissed off at me, and I had to do there's a lot of apologizing going on Saturday and today and all that. And I'm still trying to dig out of that hole, as well as dig out of other marital holes, so it's a thing. And, it's super cool to get back on stage with Chad and Donnie again and all that. And, the guys that you see in the Falling Down video, that lineup of the band is back, and, super cool, so we have the birthday show that we're playing, and I'm feeling very confident in playing the third spot now, since I'm going to attempt to lay off the sauce, the Kentucky jungle juice, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a good time. So if you guys want to come out, Simon's After Dark in Allen Park. What's going on in the chat? Not much is going on in the chat. This is going to be one of those shows, I think. Gotta bring this up too after I get through this. Jeff Lanthrow, he's big on emojis. You didn't go to Wilson's last night, Larry?
Nope.
No? Was that like a thing? You're gonna go to Wilson's? No. Did Derek try calling you or something like that at 3 a.m? Why weren't you at Wilson's, bro?
It's he sends me some crazy shit.
Oh Jesus. So
no, actually, no.
Yeah, that's a thing. Derek says he's trying to find a ride to the birthday show. It's not next week, it's this week. It's this upcoming Saturday. Jeff Land, more emojis. So super cool. Oh yeah, I need to get into this thing. The YouTube views. I got a lot of huge hits on this. You're like, dude, 2 of your videos are like blowing up right now on the Rocks 100 page. And I'm like, really? What the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean blowing up? Instead of 100 views, it's at like 125, 150. Like, no, you got 2 shows that are over like 3,000 views now. And I'm like, no. And so I get this on the ride home on, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And I'm like, no, it can't be 3,000 views. All the shows I've done on YouTube, if you added them all up, it wouldn't get to 3,000. There's no way one video has 3,000. So I come home and I look. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here real quick to get more accurate numbers, and because I was like, no, it's not like I'm interviewing Slash or anything like this. This is, no offense to Noah Polston and the, Tim and Kate from Fatal Conceit, but they're an independent band like the 133 other acts I've talked to on here, great bands, great people and all that, but come on, so, I was looking and the Fatal Conceit show has 3,892 views.
Wow.
In comparison, when we had Jeff Land on the week before, 70. 70. And then a week, 70 views when Jeff was on and 5 likes. The next week, Tim and Kate from Fatal Conceit, 3,892 views and 326 likes.
Wow.
And then going back, when Noah Polston was on in December, that has 2,697 views and 72 likes. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? So I was literally sitting down here for probably about 2.5 hours going through all these analytics, trying to find out what the hell happened. And what I found out, so it wasn't people that were that there's like this big Noah Polston hype train that's going around right now or anything like that. It's one of those things where, when you watch YouTube and the video ends and it kind of goes to a suggested video, that's what happened. So it popped up on like, if somebody watches like music videos all the time or something like that, those two shows kind of popped up as like the next video on their suggested videos thing. So when the music video or whatever's over, it would just roll into the radio show, like video.
All right.
Thousands of times, So, people watching YouTube, like maybe, I don't know, whatever band, and they just kind of like the next video on the suggested things just happened to be the radio show, so that's what happened. So I'm like, oh shit, I literally thought that this show had my train has finally come in.
Right.
This is it. I finally made it. No.
Then derailed.
No, my train completely derailed. It just, the algorithm just happened to pick up those 2 videos and start putting them on suggested video playlists for people watching YouTube. So, because I'm like, it's fucking stupid. It's like the week before the Noah Polston one, 86 views. The one after that, 124, but Noah Polston, 2,700 views.
Right.
So I was like, oh man, I finally made it. Now we're going to start building and I can monetize this shit. I can buy my new house based on YouTube revenue. I made it. No, I didn't make it. I didn't make it at all. So it's a thing. And so yeah, totally depressing. So yeah, what do we want to get to? Do we want to get to the Pump It or Dump It Band of the Week and then get on with it?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we're going to do. This week's Pump It or Dump It Band of the Week is the band Madhaven out of North Wales, United Kingdom. If you're into Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, or pretty much classic rock, you might dig these guys. Facebook.com/MadhavenRocks or www.madhaven.co.uk. They have a new album out called Never Give Up, and we're going to be checking out their song Are You Ready? Off that 2019 album. Info on these guys: Madhaven are a 3-piece melodic rock band from North Wales. The band's aim is to spread positive vibes, I need it, to each and every audience member they play for. With their high energy, adrenaline-fueled, explosive performances, their sound boasts big riffs, catchy choruses, and sing-along melodies to hook listeners in. After releasing their Never Give Up EP, which gained airplay from a multitude of international and national radio stations such as BBC Radio Wales, MMH Radio, Banks Radio Australia, and Chaos FM New Zealand, They released another EP in the middle of the UK lockdown titled 2020 WTF. So far, 2021 has seen them play slots at Wildfire and Rockwitch festivals along with UK tour as main support for Welsh band Hoxton, who we had on the show years ago, in packed out venues all over the country. 2022 is setting to be an exciting year for the band as they have lots of exciting gigs to announce and more. Last week we had the band Gutterfire out of Brisbane, Australia, and their song Chilled. We got 7 votes. That kind of sucked. So we're never going to hear from those guys again. It's a thing. So we're going to get into this music video right now. Then we're going to come back, beer of the week. And then the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be talking to Ashton Blake from Native Sons out of Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to be playing Diesel, I believe, on Friday with the... I can't remember. I should probably look that up. But yeah, they're playing Diesel on my actual birthday on Friday. So maybe I'll pop over and check those guys out. So super cool. Here's Mad Season, their song, Are You Ready? We'll be right back after this, episode number 134 of the Rikki ROXX Show, ROX100.com.
Practice, you know you gotta hit the
All right. Well, I dropped the ball on that one. That was the longest delay ever. So that's what's up. Fatal Conceit, they popped in the chat. Sorry they're late. They just wrapped up at practice. They're going to be playing the 13th annual Rikki ROXX birthday blowout going on this Saturday at Simon's After Dark in Allen Park, Michigan. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm blowing chunks today, dude. Bob Surgott is in the chat. What's going on, brother? So he came out to the casting show on Friday. So now we're going to get into our beer of the week. Like I said, Larry might not like... You really poured half a glass?
Okay. You want me to waste the rest?
Look at this. All right, I'm going to put the camera on it. That's what Larry pours. Half a glass. This guy is not a beer guy. Okay.
Here we go. We'll make Ricky happy.
Not yet. And now he's still only going to drink half of it. All right, so this week's beer of the week is from Founders Brewing Company in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I thought you'd like this one. It's hazy. Isn't that like a weed thing? Hazy? Like purple haze?
We'll see.
Okay. They're 4 Giants IPA. This is a 9.2% ABV, 80 IBU Imperial IPA. Got this for $11.99 for 4 16-ounce cans from B&B Beer and Wine in Chesterfield, Michigan. You want to feel fine? Head on over to B&B Beer and Wine. Beer Advocate gave this a 9.1 out of 10. Ranked it, it's the number 1,452nd highest rated Imperial IPA. There's a lot of Imperial IPAs out there. So description on this one. We've made a lot of Imperial IPAs over the years, and in turn have had a lot of arguments over which one is the absolute best. So, to settle it once and for all, our brewers mashed up 4 of our favorite recipes into the ultimate Imperial IPA. So this is 4 beers in one. Ooh. Okay. 4 Giants boast aggressive bitterness balanced by a malty, sweet backbone, while huge aromatics come courtesy of the 7 American hop variety. That's a lot. That's a lot of buds. The weed
right
thing. 7. So it's pretty much, for you stoners out there, taking like 7 different strains, just being like, fuck it, let's all throw it in one doobage.
Cocktail.
Is that what they call it?
I don't know.
I figured it. Okay.
It's called a house blend.
House blend. So imagine taking, your 4 favorite weed strains, and being like, man, all 4 of these are good. I don't know which one I want to smoke today. Idea. Let's mix them all together and just go ham. So that's what they did with this one. So we're going to give this one a shot. Larry, have you tried it yet?
I've smelt it.
Okay. Oh, you're going to have fun with this one. I don't think Larry's going to like this one at all.
It tastes like I chewed on a pine branch.
Okay.
And it's a little, I don't know if I would say orangey or citrus maybe.
Okay.
Or yeah, it's a little bitter.
All right. So I'm gonna actually try this. Hold on.
I like it better than the last week's. Like I could actually probably drink the whole glass.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, this is definitely more bitter. Hence the 80 IBUs. Remember how I was telling you about IBUs and all that? The higher it is, the more bitter it's going to be. Like last week was like 0 IBU, so you didn't have a lot of any bitterness really in there. With the put in pot terms, with the buds they use, they have a lot more bitterness to it. That's why when I talk about licking the potpourri dish, that piney kind of outdoorsy kind of taste to it. That's what I say, like licking the potpourri dish, the kind of like floral thing and the pine cones and that kind of bit.
Yeah.
That's what you're not getting a lot of it with this one. I've had Imperial IPAs that had, it was literally like you're, sucking up like tulips and shit like that. This has a little bit more of, like you said, the kind of citrusy kind of deal to it. It's not, and another thing that's interesting about this one is like a lot of Imperial IPAs that you'll have will kind of leave you with the, you'll know this term, kind of like the cottonmouth taste, or kind of thing where you drink it and it's like, my mouth's dry. You can have like 5 beers, but you still feel like you need water.
Right.
This, doesn't really have, I'm not really getting that from this, which is really interesting for an Imperial IPA. Usually Imperial are double processed IPAs. They'll have that cottonmouth thing to it where it'd be like, you got to take your time drinking it or else mostly when you're talking, because then your throat will be dry and it's just, you know. Right. But this one definitely is a lot smoother, you know, than your normal Imperial IPA anyway, or really any IPA. It's a lot smoother, and I think that goes to the, you know, they actually put malts in this one rather than just, you know, rocking the hops and shit like that and just going full on hop. And the kind of citrus thing kind of helps with, you know, keeping your mouth a little bit more moist and less cottony. So yeah, this is a very interesting beer. You know, it doesn't taste like it's 9% alcohol. You know, it kind of tastes like God, what's that beer that they do like? You're probably not gonna. It's like, I think it's like a flat tire or something like that. There's a beer they have that they put a lot of like orange peel into it, and they use that in the process. It kind of has that taste, you know, kind of mixed with a normal IPA taste. So yeah, definitely an interesting one. Scale 1 to 10, what are you thinking, Larry?
I'd give it 8.5.
8.5. You like this better than last week, but last week you gave it a 9.
I know. Well, you know, hey, I'm not a beer guy. So. but you know, this one's not bad. It's all right.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go straight 9 on this one. This is a really good Imperial IPA. Like I said, you know, I like it because it doesn't dry your mouth out. I can still actually talk, which is really cool, and it doesn't dry your mouth out. It has more than the normal IPA flavor to it, and yeah, definitely pick this one up. I mean, $11.99 for 4 16-ounce cans is really a really good deal, you know, for a beer like this with this much alcohol and taste to it. You know, for this, I could see $17, $18 for this 4-pack. But for $11.99, at least in Metro Detroit, it's phenomenal. You know, you can definitely become Rikki ROXX on Friday night with a 4-pack of these, you know, so super cool. This week's beer of the week, Founders Brewing Company, their 4 Giants IPA. Nothing's going on in the chat. I'm looking over the chat like there's something actually happening there. It's like people pop in because they don't want to piss me off and be like, oh, I know this happens a shit ton. Like, I'll go to shows and shit like that, be like, oh, dude, I watch your show all the time. And in my head, I'm like, bullshit, you do.
Right.
I see the fucking numbers. And like, so it's like people pop and be like, hey, dude, I'm here. So when I say you don't watch the show, I'll be like, oh, go back to that one. I said hi. You know, so it's like, you know, right. So that's the kind of thing that happens. You know, I'll hear from people all the time. Oh man, I listen to your show all the time. I'm like, bullshit. If everybody who said they listen to my show all the time actually listened to my show all the time, I would not be.
We might hit 3,000.
We might actually hit 3,000. You know, it's like, like the Hear This Fest, dude. Like dozens and dozens of people are like, dude, love your show. Dude, love ROXX 100. It's fucking awesome. No, you're full of shit, dude. Now you're kind of a shithead. Now I don't like you at all, you know? So it's a thing, you know? So anybody who actually does pick this up, you know, either tonight or, you know, we do get a lot more of our listeners on Monday, you know, after work or while people are at work, people listen to it. Share it on your timelines, you know, watch the replay, listen to the replay. You know, all we do is independent music. That's all we do. So super cool. What do you want to do, Larry? We got like 20 minutes until we got to talk to Ashton Blake. Like I said, I'm totally off my game today. This whole weekend has completely fucked up my whole juju.
I know, and I'm tired as fuck.
Yeah, this might have been one of those shows where we should have just been like, yeah, let's reschedule this one, you know?
Right, yeah.
But like, you know, like I told you before, I'm like, well, I kind of want to do it so I would have a reason to be in the basement and not upstairs, you know? Right. So, you know, we can play music. We can, not go to the chat because ain't nothing happening there. But so yeah, one more time. Simon's After Dark, 13th annual Rikki ROXX birthday blowout. Fallen Stronger, Sideline, Casting Shadows, Fatal Conceit, Crafted Conviction. Casting Shadows, we have a surprise in store for everybody that shows up. Gonna have a guest singer on a song. Fallen Stronger is going to have a guest bass player for a song. I wonder who that could be. I'll see you tomorrow at about 8:30. So it's
we better get one practice in with you.
Yeah. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a great time, and all the proceeds from the show, every dollar that comes in off the door is going to the band. So help bands with merch, recording, whatever the hell they need money for these days, helping them out. And I don't know why I keep looking at the chat. Ain't nothing happening. That's what happens when I put my ear too close. And then the very next week so that Sunday we're not going to have a show because I have to MC a show that day. April 24th at the Diesel Concert Lounge. To Us Below, War Matriarchs, Fearless, and Owsley Crowley. Oh, I got to reschedule Angelo Coppola. Fuck, I had him on that date. God damn it. Now I got to write that down. Well, we were supposed to talk to Angelo Coppola from Max Saturn, but I'm going to be emceeing a show that day, so reschedule, however you spell that. And yeah, totally off my game. So we're going to play some music. What kind of, is it me as a guest? Oh, Bob Surgott's the one guy actually paying attention. Bob Surgott. No, it's not you as the lead singer. That would be actually kind of cool, though, to see Bob Surgott get his ass on stage and play something. So you want to listen to music, or you want to watch a music video, or what are you thinking?
Let's listen to some music.
Listen to some music. Any band other than Fallen Stronger you'd like to listen to?
Let's listen to...
See if I have it. Let's see. I'll run down some bands. And Bob, since you're the guy in the chat, you can throw your suggestion out there as well. We have bands that you might know of. Heart of Jordan.
Is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. We have Heart of Jordan. Heart of Jordan. We have The Lows. We have Dragsaw. We have Ave Under Fire. We have Reject the Silence. A Few Remain. Killer's Confession. Absolute Anarchy. What else do we got? Reject the Silence?
Yeah, why not?
Wow, look at him going. Let's go old school. Reject the Silence. This song's like older than me. Okay, here we go. We're going to play Reject the Silence. My good friend Aaron Moore had him on the show quite a couple times. Bob Surgott wants to hear Cyanide or The Lows. We can do two. All right, we can just do two. So we'll do The Lows because I have to reschedule Angelo, and he was a singer of that band, so we'll do that. We'll play two songs, and then we'll come back, chat for a second, throw up another music video, and then get Ashton Blake from Native Sons on the line and talk to him about the band touring, keeping things going on the road as an independent band, and a whole bunch more. So here it is. Reject the Silence and The Lows, episode number 134 of the Rikki ROXX Show, our Rocks100.com. Oh, I got to turn that back on. Here we go.
Hey, this is Aaron from Reject the Silence. You're listening to Rocks100.com. Fuck you.
Sweet dog in this
keeps me alive. I'm burning from the inside out. Need to find a way to get myself to a better place. 'Cause I'm burning from the inside out. There is just one way to see the light of a better day. And I hope that you never follow me down on my knees. And I say that
Yeah. Help if I turn that on. So there it is. Reject the Silence, Inside Out, and the Lows, Road Trippin'. Get into a little bit of those guys. Reject the Silence. I think they probably played more of my birthday shows than any band like ever. I think they played like 4 or 5 of them over the years. They wanted to play this year, but I was like, I might need to change it up this year rather than go back to the. I mean, granted, you guys played it probably about 3 or 4 times, but get a little bit of a different lineup, some variety from other birthday shows. So that's why I kind of did the bands that I did. Fallen, you guys have played it a couple times. Cyanines never played it. I think Casting did 1. Fatal Conceits never played it, and I think Crafted did 1. So I guess there's a couple repeats, but Reject the Silence has been on it a lot. So that's why they're not on it, but super awesome band from the Toledo-ish area. And the Lows, another band, the lead singer of that band, Angelo Coppola, he now plays bass for Max Saturn. Like I said, we're going to have to reschedule him because I'm going to be emceeing a show that night. My wife's not going to be too happy, but I don't give a fuck. So it's going to be a super good time when we get Angelo on here. And yeah, that's what's up. And on that song, actually, lead guitar, Mike Leslie, you might know him for his time in Candlebox. He was in for a little bit, and super cool guy. He's got a new band going on now. I can't remember what the hell it's called, but he's a flighty dude. And Angelo's back to playing drums, where he played with when I met him when he was like 9, when he was playing in Shockwave, and then he played drums in a band called Siva. And then I think there was another one in there, and then he decided to go frontman. And the Lows, they were doing really well for a while there, playing St. Andrews and getting a lot of really good shows. Then COVID hit, and then the band was just done. And then when COVID was, I guess now it's pretty much over, but he's the drummer, Max Saturn, a band who's doing really, really awesome things. Totally jealous of those. I mean, they're playing phenomenal shows, and they've only been a band since COVID, so they're doing great. And so can't wait to talk to him, knowing that he's like 22 years old now. It feels like he's like 35, because I've known him as long as I've known pretty much anybody. But it's like I met him when he was like 8 years old or something like that, or 9 or 10 or somewhere around in there. So super cool. Rob actually said something in the chat. Whiplash first. Maybe that was his old band. I don't know. So yeah, you got anything you want to throw out there? So I'm not just scrambling off the top of my head trying to muster something together for this thing to kill some time.
Not really.
Oh Jesus. Okay, so I guess we'll switch over to this screen, and we'll try to get Ashton Blake from the band Native Sons out of Louisville, Kentucky, and then after the interview we'll play a song by these guys. They're gonna be playing April 15th at Diesel. I should have pulled up the event page. I'm gonna do that real quick now as I type feverishly to figure out other bands on that bill. So super cool. The last couple shows, have been very rock focused, and keeping going with that. So this Friday at Diesel, Native Sons are be playing with Saturnine Hello. They played one of my birthday shows. Badland out of Flint, Crafted Conviction. You can see them Friday and Saturday, Diesel and Simons. Moments of Awakening and Stage Drive, phenomenal band that's doing really well in Detroit right now. Kayla Drange, phenomenally, awesomely talented young lady. $10 advance, $15 day of the show, all ages. Welcome. Going to be a good time. So we're gonna pull up. We're gonna see if we can pull him up now and see what we get. See how lucky we get here. All right, let's see. Can you hear me? Okay, connecting to audio. Can't hear you yet. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, Ricky, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just actually got in early this morning from a weekend trip we did.
Where'd you head?
We were at Diamond Music Hall in St. Louis, and then we went to Jackson, Tennessee to jam with some friends at Baker Brothers there. It's a kind of a small, quaint joint. It's pretty cool. Some good friends of mine from Nashville invited us over, so we went and jammed there.
Okay, so now you got another little run coming up. You're heading up here to Diesel on Friday for a show that's looking like it's setting up to be quite the show. My buddy Kyle put that one together, Metal Afro Promotions and all that. How did you guys kind of get in touch with Kyle and get your name going up here?
Oh man, that's I guess, to make a long story short, I grew up with Kyle, sort of. At 19, I quit I didn't quit high school, but I graduated from high school, and I actually moved up to Detroit and was playing in a house band called Planet Rock over in on the west side of Michigan, I think the Battle Creek area. And his band Hazard Head came through, and I ended up joining Hazard Head for a while.
Wait, you were in Hazard Head?
Yeah, man. It was for a very short time. I took place as the singer for about 4 or 5 months, probably actually a year. We would play at the Crossroads all the time. I'm kind of a nomad, man. Whenever I was 19, I did this. I was a hired gun, and I toured around, and I made a lot of connections, a lot of friends up and down the East Coast, and I guess fast forward several years later, Kyle's got his own production company, and he reached out to me about Native Sons because we put out the record last year, and we were touring off of it, and so we kind of built our relationship together as promoter and artist that way. And he started us off in a small room in Detroit, and then we ended up doing the theater later on in the year, and we've kind of just been snowballing this whole thing with Native Sons, and it's just really cool to be able to work with so many people in different states, and some of them are old friends, and some of them are new friends. So,
and really quick, a question that I have is: do you ever get confused with Rival Sons? Have you gotten that?
Confused once.
Because it's like when I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have the singer from Native Sons on. They're like, oh my god, they're huge. They're like all over the radio and all this. I'm like, no, that's Rival Sons. That's a whole different band. They're like, wait, isn't that what you said? I'm like, no, Native Sons. They're an independent band and all that. So that's why I wanted to ask, because talking to people and telling them that you're gonna be on the show, they're like, oh man, Rival Sons is a killer band. They're huge, and I'm like, different band. So that's why I need to ask. Yeah. So, another thing I wanted to touch on with you, is that you're a band that's on the road. You guys make no qualms about it. You are a touring band. Being a band that's, an independent band, even when you stay in your own like little circle at home, it's hard to keep a band going, financially, the whole bit, playing the venues around home, making 25, 30, maybe $100. How do you guys keep it going, on the road?
Well, it's, like I said, I've been blessed to work with a lot of, professional people in the industry over the years. Bill Chavis was our record label last year. He's been a good friend of mine since I was 19. And when he passed away, I think we just made the decision not to, go with another record label, just kind of do a self-release and see how that goes. And so far it's been going very well. We signed a distribution deal with an independent distributor, and we got ourselves a Vivo channel now, and that hit 9.1K in 8 days.
Wow.
So we're kind of hitting the ground running. As far as staying on the road, we've got a booking agent that, was left over from the record label. Both him and the vice president passed away from COVID. So whenever that happened, we were just like, we're going to try to do a self-release. Bill was a good friend, since I was 19. I'm 28 now. Jim Quiggins is my bass player, and he's he's definitely a driving force in Native Sons as far as working hand in hand with me, you know, because we're both very business oriented. So it's like we have a work ethic that, you know, this is all I want to do and this is all I do. So, you know, it's hard work. It's definitely hard work. Doing it on your own and being independent. You know, I'm under the impression I don't think Dirty Honey has a record label either. So many artists are able to do it on their own now. You know, it is hard. It's a lot more work than would be with record label or, you know, some kind of management company. But we're doing pretty good managing ourselves and keeping ourselves on the road with this, with the help of our friend and friends that I have made, you know, personally in the business over the years. So it's definitely tough for some bands. I'm kind of blessed that Native Sons kind of has this fire around them right now, and we're pretty much staying booked throughout the summer. We have dates that haven't been announced yet, up and down the East Coast and Midwest. We're trying to get out to the West Coast. We're doing Texas in June. You know, that's one of the shows I can talk about. And like the show we're doing this weekend at the Diesel Concert Lounge. You know, we're just building ourselves up in areas that we want to be in. That's how, you know, kind of how we're doing it.
So being a band that's out there and, you know, you're building your fan base and building it up, you know, pretty, you know, as any independent band from the ground up, you know, this kind of goes back to the question we had on our advice segment. You know, how do you guys, you know, build your fan base? It, you know, obviously it takes more than, you know, playing a killer show. You know, what do you guys do, you know, that maybe separates yourself from the normal, you know, Captain Joe's independent band? You know, what separates you guys from everybody else?
Well, I think what separates us is, you know, we're all about organic growth. It's not about getting, you know, some bands, they put money into ads to generate likes, and that's okay in certain areas. But you've got to do more than that. You know, being engaging with fans. You know, we treat our fans like their family, because they kind of are. A lot of people that have, you know, shown up to shows, we've ended up, you know, become friends with, and that we keep in touch with those people, and we try to be as engaging with the fans as they are with us. You know, I think it's important to create a community around you. We played Monsters of Rock Cruise's event, Monsters on the Mountain, and gained a lot of fans that way. And we found that those people, you know, they're like a big community. So it's like everybody knows everybody. So that's what you're getting into now, I think, is like, you know, once you're in the circle, you're in the circle, but it's at the point of, like, you know, nurturing relationships with fans, you know, doing things that are, you know, that create content and give fans something to see. You know, we have put in ads as far as, you know, letting people know we're going to be in the cities that we're going to be in. Like, we ran an ad for the Detroit Diesel Lounge. Mm-hmm. We had a little video and ran it for a few weeks. You know, so it's staying in touch with fans. It's, you know, playing as many shows as possible. We get most of our fans from, you know, opening for bigger acts, or, you know, people who just see us, and they end up following the band. You know, we've grown probably 2,000 fans in the last 6 months. At the beginning, it was slow because we were a newer band. Mm-hmm. But once we got, you know, kind of touring and, you know, getting our legs about us, we started picking up fans pretty quickly, and I think I pride ourselves on being engaging with the audience.
So being engaged and treating them, you know, more than a number, rather, you know, more than just some random at a show, you know, really, you know, bringing them in and making them part of the Native Sons crew and fam and all that, you know, and something that kind of struck me, because this is something on the show we've talked about ad nauseum for years, is the importance of social media. And you touched on it very briefly about, you know, you guys growing your audience organically, rather than, running huge ads trying to get people, to hit that like button and all this. Is there a reason for that? Because, a lot of people say you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by not going that route. Is there a reason that you decided, hey, let's get people interested in us that, come and see us rather than just, an ad that pops up on Facebook or Instagram?
Well, I think it's more important than ever to, be engaged with your fans on social media, because, without your fans, you wouldn't be able to do nobody wants to play for empty rooms. And, so it's like, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. So I think that it's very important. If you're silent on social media, then, it's not getting shared around people. It's harder for people to find you. Everybody's kind of living in their phones a little bit, I do it, I discover bands that way, Spotify playlists and, there's different avenues to find different bands. Some people go heavy into Spotify. We try to cover the whole board, and a lot of people do try to cover the whole board. I would say that, if I was talking to any band that was just starting out, Facebook live streams are a great way to connect with fans all at once, answer questions. It's something that you've got to build, and, it's a slow building community, but I think that, Native Sons is definitely going to be better off for it in the long run, rather than trying to, do what some bands do. And that's just, creating a lot of buzz all at once using large amounts of ads. I think, putting money into YouTube and stuff like that, I know some people have done it, and, we surpassed them this week. And I think that has a lot to do with the engagement that we have with our fans, and being as lucky as we have, because, you can work a lot, and, hard work met with luck creates opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So let's take us back to the beginning of Native Sons, getting your feet wet. What were the first couple shows? Do you remember them vividly as phenomenal times, or were you guys that independent band that was playing in front of 3 people at 1 a.m.? Take us to the very beginning.
Well, the very beginning, Native Sons has a rocky history, I think. We were put together, with a few friends of mine. We around 2018, end of 2018, the beginning of 2019, I think the pandemic hit right around that time of when we were gonna put the album out. We held off on putting it out till probably 2020, and then the pandemic hit. So I had to find new members. Well, they ended up being like, take the record as far as you can. They had to go back to work, as a lot of bands and musicians. We've lost a lot of bands due to that.
Right.
So the first show, we had a record label, so it was like, here in our hometown, it was kind of highly anticipated. I kind of have already built a community here around, my brand, I guess, if you want to call it that. So it was, I remember us playing a double night CD release party. We had sold so many, we packed out one house that we had to have another CD release party for the other side of town.
Wait, so hold on. Okay, so this is kind of blowing my mind. Okay, so is it 2 shows in like the same day?
No, it was 2 shows in the same weekend.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, I'm like, dude, 2 CD release shows in one day is kind of like bonkers. It's like, all right, guys, we got done with the set. Say thanks to everybody. We gotta head on over to the West Side and do all this again. Okay, so you had like a Friday, Saturday kind of thing going on.
Yeah, we had a Friday, Saturday in Louisville, Kentucky. But we're like any other band, man. Some at first it was rocky. You get into some clubs and you play for nobody because nobody knows who you are yet. We were in Cleveland. The opening band, or the headlining or I think it was the opening band, their drummer broke their leg. So they, the people that were going to go for them, I guess they told them that they weren't playing, so they just didn't show up. But, now we come back to Cleveland and people are showing up to shows, and we're seeing a lot more engagement. So things have, it's like any band, you have shows that are really great and you have shows that are not so great. And it's as far as attendance wise, but I think now coming into 2022, we've kind of honed in on our markets, and we're able to explore new markets now, because we can, we've grown that community there that people want to see us. I think that the Diesel Lounge will be a really good show. I'm anticipating the Rockstar Lounge is going to be good as well. So I think we're going to have a great weekend of rock and roll for Detroit. So I'm excited to hit the road again.
So do you remember, the first time, because this is something as, a guy who's been playing in bands for 20 some odd years and been in dozens and dozens of bands, my dream as a musician is to go somewhere out of town and have somebody, know the words to my songs or something like that, somewhere out of town. Do you remember the first time you were like outside Louisville and, playing Ohio, Michigan, wherever, where you're like, whoa, we're like 800 miles from home and this dude up front knows the words to our songs?
Yeah, there was a moment like that. We opened for Resist and Bite early this year. I think it was in January. And there was this girl left stage. She knew every word to every song we had. And I was like, wow, like I didn't know her from anyone else. I think she briefly knew the guitar player. But it's one of those things that's like, it was really cool to see somebody else, studying the words of the song. Because you've been in bands, you have fans, or friends who are fans, but they never really, listen to the music. But I think that what we're seeing is our friends and fans are learning our songs. And a lot of them have come up to me and being like, hey, this really helped me through this. I really love the words to this song. So it's like, I think the first time that I seen it was in Atlanta, Georgia, where we opened for Resist and Bite. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah, that's gotta, to me, I'm like, that's gotta be a big deal, because to learn all the words to a song means that you had to have listened to it more than once, more than, seeing a band once, or, seeing their music video once, or seeing a lyric video once. You have to invest time, into a band to be able to be like, yo, the guitar player fucked up that guitar solo. It doesn't go like that, or dude, Ashton, you messed up the lyrics here. It takes, it's like an investment, they're spending hours with your band, so to me, that's gotta be like the biggest thing in the world when you can tell people have invested time into listening to something that you created in your bedroom or in a garage in Kentucky.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why we cherish our fans very deeply. And it's like, they're learning the songs, and they're, buying the tickets, and they're keeping us on the road, and they're helping us create our music. So we definitely wouldn't be able to do it without those kinds of people.
So as a band, because I try to cater my questions kind of to the independent musician, guys who are trying to, get to where you guys are on the road for a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, and doing it. What are, people say the word tour hacking, and, ways to kind of make your couple $100 you made at the show kind of, maintain you guys. What do you guys do to kind of make your dollars stretch further on the road?
I would say budgeting. Expenses get paid first. It's not, if we end up making, $1,500 the weekend, and we cost us $400 in gas, we count it as $1,100. So it's like budgeting very closely with our money, and being strategic in routing. You don't want to have a show in Texas and then go all the way to Maryland. That's a lot of driving, and you're flying by the seat of your pants at that point. So it's routing, At first, last year we weren't making a lot of money. So it was definitely something where I had to, scrubbing 2 pennies together to get the,
Right.
We have a joke. There's this town in Louisville, in Kentucky called Sonora, and they have the cheapest gas prices. And we always joke coming out of the driveway. It's like, if we can just get to Sonora, get to Sonora, we'll be able to afford gas at this price for the whole tour. So it's funny moments like that, and it's budgeting. We're very, we crunch numbers and we plan ahead. It takes a month of planning. We've been planning this run for a long time, and me and the bass player are real good at that. He's a marketing director by trade, and so he helps us target our audience, and I'm more of like a numbers person, where I'm over here Gene Simmons and it being like, how we have $20,
We have $20. We have to feed 5 guys. Ain't nobody supersizing McDonald's tonight.
No.
So, take us back, because you said it hasn't been until recently where you guys have actually, seen the money get a little bit better. Take us to that first jaunt, that first time where you're like, all right, guys, let's do this. Let's go on the road. It's going to be tight. I got us a couple $100 here or $150 in these 5 cities. What were you guys going out on the road with? Because if you're getting paid like a couple $100, obviously you don't have an RV. You're probably in somebody's, somebody's S10 or something like that.
We had a Ford Edge at the time.
There it is.
And we loaded everything in the back, and we rolled down there as light as we could. We were going to Maryland. We were actually doing something for a guy named Brad Lee, and our record label hooked us up with a couple $100, and we got some hotel rooms for the night. But as we were driving down there, it was like 2 hours from the gig, like 4:00 in the morning, our drummer hits a deer and just like, it wrecks the car. Like, fluids are spewing everywhere. So it ended up costing us a lot of money, but it goes back to that community thing. It's like I remember Bill Chavis and Lori Chavis driving 2 cars to come 2 hours to Frostburg, Michigan, to get us Frostburg, Maryland, to get us, to drive us 2 hours back to play the show. We ended up getting there just in time, but it goes back to that community thing where we sold more money in merchandise than we did playing the show. And that's always, that's the first time I was introduced to like fans and their love for music. Mm-hmm. It's like, they were like, you hit a deer, I'll buy that drum head for $100. Mm-hmm. I'll buy your CD, I'll buy your t-shirt. And we ended up getting enough money to actually fix the car. We actually had to drive back and pick it up, but it was almost close to fixing the car, So getting it fixed and driving it back, I give a lot of credit to my girlfriend, Sandy Beitler. She helps us out a lot with taking pictures. She does a lot of stuff, all our media, so she drives sometimes for us. So.
See, that's a good girl. That's a good woman right there. Somebody who actually supports their musician significant other. You're a lucky man. And one thing, you brought this up a couple times, and I kind of wanted to dive into this because it's a question I get a lot from bands or new bands or even established bands. They're like, dude, my merch isn't cutting. We're going out of town and we're selling like a t-shirt or we're selling a CD. You guys are, and for a touring band, that's your bread and butter is getting your merch out, getting your CDs out, getting everything out. How do you guys go about, you know, with your merchandise, with your t-shirts, with all that? Do you guys, you know, what was the planning around getting all that built up?
The planning around that, we're still building a lot of our, I guess, inventory as far as merchandise goes. But I wanted to focus on different kinds of t-shirts, give something for girls to buy, the tank tops. You know, I wanted something kind of stylish for, you know, kind of a unisex thing, the baseball t-shirts. And guys are mostly going to buy your plain black t-shirt. So we try to cater to all across the board. But as far as like, you know, getting a you know, your merch out there, a well-lit merch table will you know, be the difference between, you know, $400 and $50. So it's like letting people know you're there, you know, having, you know, it doesn't hurt to have a pretty girl behind the merch booth either. But you know, so I think it's different for everybody, but you got to figure out what works for you. And sometimes, you know, most of the venues we play now, they do a really great job of displaying our merchandise for us, or at least giving us a good spot to sell our merchandise. And I think that's you know, a part of the growing pains of being a band. You know, you go from these small clubs who, you know, you're setting up your merchandise in a dark corner. You know, you're figuring out ways. Like went back when we did that, I had a laser light that would shine down on the merch table.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a well-lit merch table will be the difference between, you know, big money or small money. But, you know, we set up a online store as well. So we're really trying to do this, you know, independently as most as possible. You know, we just figured we could do it all ourselves, you know, with a little bit of internet know-how. You know, you can just do it yourself.
Right. There's YouTube videos on everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, another thing you touched on, you know, that was interesting to me is, you know, a lot of independent bands, you know, I've said this, you know, a million times, you know, their goal is the record deal, you know, and getting the record deal. And, you know, I've heard horror stories. I've heard wonderful stories about record labels. You know, the band I'm in had a record deal, and it was, from what Jeff told me, a complete train wreck, and it was horrible. And then I've heard other people are like, dude, they've, you know, really helped us along and done this. You know, what should a band, and what did you guys look for when, you know, record labels started becoming something that was a reality for you guys, something that you could have? You know, what were you looking for in record deals, distribution deals, you know, all this? What's, you know, what was the thing that made you go, okay, well, these guys can do something we can't do by ourselves?
Yeah. Well, I think after Highball Records, you know, we came into with a fresh mind, because I signed with Highball Music because Bill Chavis was my friend, and he gave me my first shot in one big band that I ended up touring with as a hired gun. So he's always had my best interest out. He's had the same kind of contract for all his artists, and he really, really believed in all of his artists. And still, you know, I know that he's looking down on us all, thinking, you know, still rooting for us and pushing things in our favor. So going forward, we wanted, you know, pretty much like, he left us with a lot of, you know, good reputation. He did a very good job of just displaying the band and getting it out to people. Our thing with, you know, accepting a record label, and we've got approached by a few in the beginning of the year, and we just couldn't sign with them, because it's all about sitting down and providing something. If you're gonna, you know, my bass player is like, you know, if you're gonna come to the dinner, you got to bring a plate, you know,
right?
You got to bring some kind of dish. So it's like, bring some meat to the table. You can't just sit down and eat. And a lot of deals out there, like you said, are those deals of, you know, just give me 50%, trust me, I'm going to take you places. And I just, you know, we couldn't do that. Not that all the deals that we were presented were like that, because, you know, sometimes it's just not a good fit. You know, whether the record label, you know, why would you sign with a rap record label if you're a rock band?
Right.
You know, it's not going to be their top interest. So it's just finding what's, what works for you, what works best for you, being polite, but at the end of the day, it's about you and what you're trying to accomplish. For me, once we're continuously building, and I tell every manager, that approaches us is like, no one's going to outwork me. I'm going to get to my goal. Do you want to come along with me and do this? And some of them are like, I would love to. It's a numbers game at a certain point, but I would say that a lot of them are like, I want a too big of a percentage for not enough work, and I'm just like, I can do most of everything myself. I don't want to. It would be nice to have a record label, but if they're just going to sit down and start eating on what we've accomplished and really what our fans have helped us accomplish, then that's not a business relationship that I wanted to get into. So I guess talking to any bands that are listening in, know your worth. I think someone said, separate your price from your worth, but know your worth at the same time. And don't settle for something that you don't feel is 100% what you want to do.
So, with that said, in today's way that, the record industry is, you don't have Harmony House or record stores that you're depending on record labels to get your CDs on shelves as much anymore. That's why I kind of was asking about the distribution thing and that kind of thing, because it's like now distribution, you can go on distrokid.com or whatever and get yourself on Amazon, Spotify, and all this for a low price of whatever the heck it comes out to, So in your opinion, in today, the way the music industry is today, being predominantly streaming and, CDs and vinyl kind of, I hate to say it, but kind of like a novelty thing that people buy at shows just to get their hands on something physical. What do you feel the role of a record label is now?
That's a interesting question. I think that record labels are, I wouldn't say that they're a thing of the past, but they're definitely, I guess it was almost like a PR company. PR companies weren't as sought after as record labels. I would say they're about level now. So a lot of people go into it, it's like, oh, I'm going to get a record deal, I'm going to be famous. And it's like, no, there's different, if you take a step back and look at what a record label is, they kind of tie in a PR agent and they tie in a booking agent, and some of them cater to different things. And it's really just artist management is what they deal with. And so it's like a record label in the 1980s was like a package. You wanted Interscope Records because
they could get you on MTV. They could get you on MTV. They could do big $5 million music videos. They could get your, huge record release things on record release day at the FYE or Harmony House and all this, and get you on tour with Black Sabbath or Ozzy or whatever and do all that. That's why I was kind of asking, your big Interscopes and all that, they'll always kind of be able to pluck anybody because they can put anybody with Taylor Swift or whoever. But like the independents, the independents, your smaller labels that aren't representing anybody huge, and those are the labels that are most likely going to be snatching up the how do I want to say it? The working bands, the blue collar bands, if a record label were to come to you, realistically, what would you be looking for?
Realistically, I would be looking for someone who's going to work. Like I said, you don't just get to sit down at the table and eat what we've, brought. You have to bring something too. I would say it would have to be like, they'd have to bring a really great PR company that could get us on like the Eddie Trunk Show or even the Tonight Show. It would have to be something pretty substantial for me to want to, give them 15% of everything across the board, sync licensing and everything, because that's exactly what they're going to ask for. Sometimes even more. Sometimes they want 30, 40%, and some of them even 50%. So it's like they'd have to offer something pretty substantial, you know, that I could feel that they would take a lot of the stress off of me, as far as like, you know, I do tour management. I do a lot of stuff on our tour, getting the hotel rooms. If they brought, you know, tour support, if they brought, you know, major distribution, because we signed a distribution deal with an independent distributor, and they got us a Vivo channel. So it's like now we're a Vivo artist. So it's like we've stepped up our game. What can they do to top that? You know, what can they do to kind of, you know, and if they don't have anything right now, what will they do for us? What will they work to do? You know, I guess it's really different across the board, but I would want it to be something substantial, like, you know, getting us on that Tonight Show or the Eddie Trump Show, or, you know, getting us out there in front of people, you know, like the tour support, hooking us up with, you know, like Shine Down, or getting us on a Nickelback tour, or getting us on an Aussie tour, or getting us in front of people, you know, putting us on festivals. And so it's like a lot of your independents can't promise that. But, you know, a lot of the independents like Have All Music, they did their best, they tried, and they did end up getting us on a lot of festivals. So that's where it gets to, that's where that gray line is like, I'll choose someone who's willing to work their, you know, butt off for me, over someone who's just going to hand it to me and be like, I want 75% of everything you do now.
Right.
You know, because I feel like me and Bill Chavis built something, especially with the festivals that we were on last year. You know, we started out in June kind of light, and then by July we were in, you know, the band kind of took off real quick, and we were on a bunch of festivals, and now we've got that fan base that's more organic and more engaged than I see some of our, you know, I guess I see some other bands. But, you know, not talking, you know, bad about anybody or anything. It's just seems to happen that way. It's like, so with a record label, speaking on a record label standpoint, it would have to be something substantial, I think, you know, for my guys to say, yeah, that's a good deal. But, you know, we're always open to talking to people, seeing what they have to say, and, you know, looking at it logically, you know, not rushing into anything. We have a music lawyer who looks over all our contracts. So it's, you know, we consult with him, and we consult with the band, and we just come to an agreement on things. That's kind of how we do things in Native Sons is, you know, it's kind of that, you know, pirate mentality. It's, you know, we're all going to take a vote, and that vote leads the ship, you know.
You know, and another thing I wanted to ask, you know, is, you know, a thing that, you know, here in Detroit, you know, there's, you know, because that's where we are, and those are most of the bands I talk to, you know, their big thing is, I want to get out of town. We're finally ready to make that jump and get out of town, you know, and being in Detroit, you know, play Ohio, Indiana, you know, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, things like that. You know, take us through those you know, hitting up venues when you guys had no fan base in those cities. You know, you were a brand new thing. You know, how did you go about setting up those first runs when you guys, nobody would know you guys from the Tom, Dick, and Harry that, you know, could bring 10 people to a show? You know, how did you get those first out of town shows?
You know, the first out of town shows were a lot with Bill Chavis. You know, he established himself as a record label on the East Coast and somewhat on the West Coast. You know, he had worldwide artists as well. So it was kind of, the first runs were him, but now with, you know, with our agent booking dates, I book as well. I try to find bands that are similar to me, or someone I would like to help just because I like their, you know, I like their voice, or I like their style of music. And I do trade shows. You know, we'll do a
show swap.
A show swap. But we'll put them, you know, we'll open for them in our hometown. They'll open for us in their hometown, and really just build that fan base up for both of us. And, you know, sometimes if my band we don't play a lot in Louisville, Kentucky. We try to, not overplay any market that we have, because you end up burning fans out, and you end up burning the scene out with, so many ads. And, Aerosmith's not going to, tour the same 3 places over and over and over, for a month.
There's only so many times Aerosmith can even play Boston. In Boston, until people are like, okay, we've seen Aerosmith 10 times in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how I really do is like, make friends. You're not in a competition with anybody. I don't feel like we're in competition with anybody. It's not we're all making music. We're all out here trying to rock, and it's all in the name of creating, getting this music, this sort of genre built back to what it was. And not that, not that we have a bad rock scene right now, because I feel like it's really pumping up to something big. Your 30-year-olds to your early 40s, you don't see those guys at rock concerts. It was really invisible for them, rock and roll. But your older crowd and your much younger crowd, like your 18 to 25, they're rockers. They know who Motley Crue is. They know who Led Zeppelin is. They know because they've been exposed to music like Greta Van Fleet. And then they're like, the older guys like saying it's just another Led Zeppelin. And they're like, well, who's Led Zeppelin? So they go researching it because they, my generation,
dude, even
research. So they're getting exposed to the bands that invented rock and roll. Your Motley Crues and your Pink Floyd and
the 70s and 80s stuff.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing, that I found recently, because my generation, I guess, grew up with like Jay-Z and Run DMC and hip hop and all that. And, it comes from the parents and all that. Like, but my parents, my dad was into like Skynyrd and Boston and Ted Nugent and stuff like that. So I got brought up in it, and now, like you said, there's that young generation now, people that are my age, that grew up with the parents that were into Ted Nugent and that 60s 70s hard rock thing. Now there's guys that are like little bit younger than me who grew up with when Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like this, and the bands that came out in the early 2000s are now have 7-8-year-old kids that are like, I didn't get brought up on hip hop and all that. The first band that I really loved was I've heard Hinder, I've heard, bands like that, so that's kind of a thing. There's like in rock anyway, there's kind of like that lost generation in there where, rock kind of died and pop and hip hop became a thing. And now, like you said, like my daughter, she's 8 years old. She knows who Motley Crue is because I grew up on that. She knows who Ted Nugent is, and she knows who all that is. And, people, other people that are my age, or a little bit younger, their kids are growing up, hip hop and all that. So yeah, there is that new generation. And we talked about that earlier in the show, how when my band, we played a show on Friday and there were young kids' first ever show was a Casting Shadows show, and they were fucking going apeshit for it, so, and we talked about that, have you ever had that, in any of the bands you were in, where it's a kid's first show, where it's like some 7-8-year-old kid that their mom brought down or something like that. That's like, dude, Native Sons or Hazard Head, whatever band it was, this is their first ever rock show.
Not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, we did a single release for Drama. The one I said we've released on Vivo and YouTube and stuff. There was these two girls there. Their mom had brought them. They were like 12 and 13 years old, and it was their very first rock show. They'd never been to a concert at all. So it was their very first concert, and that was really cool. after the show, they wanted us to sign CDs for them, and they were taking pictures with us. So they were excited about the music and just the overall experience, because we had 2 opening bands, and they loved them, but I think they really liked us. They bought some T-shirts and CDs and had us sign them, and so it's always cool to see younger people getting out and experiencing rock and roll and good music, and just being a part of this experience, because they're the future of they're going to be the future fans and music makers of the world. So it's going to be really cool to see what the next generation bring up as far as music. I hope it's a lot more rock and roll than rap. My bass player says, it almost feels like it's 1978 and disco's king. Just wait till 1980 hits. It's I think right now we're getting out of the kind of the disco era or the rap is king era, and getting back to rock and roll as it was, because everything comes back around.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes back.
It's all cyclical. Yeah.
Rap is going to come back around to stomp out rock and roll. Country was a big thing and still is. Country's kind of kept its fan base, I guess, because it's its own lifestyle, but so is rock and roll. It's its own lifestyle. At least I try to, I guess I find myself living it more these days, with traveling and getting out there. I think rock and roll is going to come back in a big way, all across the board.
And something I've seen, to get back to Louisville, Kentucky, and in particular, doing this from Detroit, doing this show and running the station and all this, I'm getting a huge, like more than any city, in the world, Louisville, Kentucky I'm getting a lot of rock and roll from the Louisville, Kentucky area. Wild Ride, is a band that we're going to have on the show. Reverend Jack is another killer band that we've talked to on the show. What is it about Louisville, Kentucky, where, you're in the South, you're 4 hours away from Nashville. What is it about Kentucky that's breeding this new kind of revolution kind of thing in new, I don't like saying classic rock, but that kind of style of rock and roll?
Well, I would say it's a lot of different things. We have a lot of, I would say Louisville's more of a rock and roll town. Country's real big in Lexington, and country still is big here too, I guess, but rock and roll's kind of been, a constant here. It was my goal to I try to help build the scene as much as I can here, not taking credit for anybody else's, success. But I would say that rock and roll here is a community, and we all do what we can for each other. Like my buddies in Skipping Stone, they're really killing it out there. Getting out there on the radio, and I appreciate you, featuring some Louisville artists. That's pretty awesome. Wild Rider, I know those guys. They're friends of mine, and so I'm not really sure. I think it's just kind of always been here, and I think with the pandemic and everything, it all being lifted. At least here, they're itching to get out and they're wanting to share their music. I see it all over. Atlanta, Georgia, there's a big scene there. In Nashville, there's a big rock scene there that you think, it's a country town. It's mostly a rock and roll town now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure what's happening in Louisville as far as rock and roll goes, but I know that it's always kind of been here, and we're always, trying to get out there and bring our stuff to other states. And I've tried to help out bands getting into other states. Kyle definitely does a good job booking at the Diesel. They have some great shows there, some national bands, and a lot of bands have helped me out as well to get out there and doing it. So I'm not really sure what it is about Louisville, I couldn't really tell you. I think it's a lot of things, a lot of different people moving, and a community coming together to create rock and roll. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
So any band, you know, looking to get down to Louisville to see a killer rock show, what are the venues to go to? What are the big hitters where you know you're going to catch a good rock show any weekend? Plug your Louisville clubs, you know, because I have one in my head that I played it and I love the place. It's the only place I've ever played in Louisville. I want to see if you shout that one out.
I would say the top ones right now that are pushing rock and roll and national talent would be Louisville Billiards Club. That's a big one. Diamond Music Hall, they went under. They're now going to be called the Fox Den. One of their mutual owners took it up, but they had to change the name because the company went under. It wasn't because they weren't doing what they were supposed to. It just one of the owners decided he just didn't want to be a part of it. So I would say the Fox Den, Louisville Billiards Club, 21st and Germantown.
There it is.
Probably good for metal music. If you're like heavy metal, thrash metal, that would be Air Devils in that place. As far as like you want to listen to what you didn't want to call it the new classic rock, but I guess for better or worse terms, the new classic rock, Louisville Billiards Club would probably be there. You're going to see the Stolen Prayers and the Skipping Stones and the Wild Ride kind of music there. So it's like across the city we have like a petri dish of different rock and roll, and it's something for everybody here.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear 21st in Germantown. It's like the heavy metal club, and that's like the one place Casting Shadows can get booked, and we're like dad rock. So it's crazy. So with that, you seem to know a lot about the Kentucky scene, and we got a couple more minutes with you, so I wanted to ask, who are the bands that you think out of Kentucky or out of the Louisville area where you're like, man, these guys definitely need to take that next step and get out on the road?
Oh man. That's a hard one, I guess, because there's a lot of them that are already on the road. I would say Hardrada. There's a band called Hardrada they opened for us on Headliners. I would say them to get out and start, at least get your feet wet on things. Stolen Prayer, my buddies are in there. They're actually on the road right now. They're kind of a glam band. Skipping Stone is another one. They're really good. Hidden Foundation. So those, I would say those bands are probably ones that I would recommend people go see, and recommend them kind of step out into, the surrounding areas, trying to make it a regional thing. Hardrada, definitely. They did a great show. They were direct support for us at our single release, video release party at Headliners Music Hall, and they did a fantastic job. Anemic Royalty was one as well. They opened the show. They did a fantastic job. I just think there's so much music here in Louisville that it would be really hard for you to be displeased with one of the bands from here. I'm doing my best, and I'm sure other people are doing their best to make this the music capital, as far as rock and roll goes. And just really trying to build things. I would say, step out regionally, go to Michigan, do a weekend runs. Cause it's cool to go out for 9 days, but it's not all the time feasible, financially. Like Native Sons, we're talking to different bands about going out on tours, but we don't do 9-day runs. There's no one's coming out on a Thursday. Thursday nights will probably be an acoustic night. But like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nobody's really going out. At least they don't on, in the South, because, Louisville's mainly a Friday, Saturday night town.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to get something on a Thursday as an acoustic thing, but it's that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because everyone's working in factories. Everyone's got odd hours. you could play like Billiards Club Louisville. They're from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. So they're open all that time. So you're going to get different people at 7 o'clock than you will at 1 o'clock in the morning, because someone's getting off at Ford, or somebody's, getting out of UPS. But they're not really going out during the weeks. Everybody's watching Hulu and chilling out, and I don't blame them. Those are hard jobs, and, it's a lot harder than, playing rock and roll, I guess. But so I would say it just depends on the town. Some towns like Nashville, they're booming. They're every night. You can go there on a Monday, but I wouldn't do a Monday here. It's going to be really hard as far as routing goes, because I book for a venue here as well. We're a rock and roll venue, but we don't have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
21st in Germantown, they have the comedian nights and the karaoke's throughout the week, but that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're always going to see a rock show. Same thing with Louisville Billiards Club, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Same thing with Air Devils Inn. You might be able to see shows at Zanzibar for, on a Monday, and maybe that I don't go to Zanzibar. It's a different scene, I think, than what I'm used to, and I don't really get to go out. I'm always working or towards the rock and roll thing, booking bands and out on the road. That's kind of what I have time for.
So
it goes back to that time delegation thing.
The last question, big one before I hand off to Larry, because I'm sure maybe Larry has a question. Is there a band in Louisville where you're like, oh man, we need to step our game up if we're going to play a show with this band? This band is, every single time I see them, they are banging. They're awesome. The crowd goes nuts for them. We have to step our game up every time. If we play a show with them, we have to be Native Sons times 2. Is there a band you look at like that? Or because having talked to you, you seem like a very humble guy. Is there a band that you're like, man, this band is the tits?
Man, there's, I haven't really felt that way with anyone that I've seen recently. Because we do, Native Sons tries to do things professionally. We'll rock the same way for 3 people as we'll rock for, 3,000. That's just kind of where we're at. I don't, I would like to say yes, but right now I don't think there is. As far as there's regional bands that I would say, we need to do a little more practice or this or that. But it's I guess you could say that anytime. I couldn't think of any right now. I try to be as humble as I can, and I hope I didn't sound arrogant by saying that, but I don't think that there's a band out there right now that I wouldn't feel, like I couldn't open for them, or headline in front of them. But there's a lot of great talent here. So, and there's always time. So.
Wow.
Right now it's, I think that we're hot, and we're, it's kind of like one of those things that, you always have to stay on your toes, because, you could have an off night, it's just one of those things. But I know that Native Sons at the top of their game, I'm going to be arrogant for a few seconds and just
best
say
band in Louisville.
It's hard to be right there. I think Hardrada and Nemic Royalty put on a great show for us the last weekend. And they held their own. So,
in Louisville, are you guys like the big band in Louisville right now?
I would say that it's us, Wild Ride, and Skipping Stone. There's key bands in the scene that can draw people to a show. I think, being strategic and smart about shows, some of them play out a lot more than others in the same market. And I think that's why I would suggest them to branch out and do more things. And Wild Ride is, they're getting out. and doing more, but it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different business plan, different business model. I've never seen Wild Ride without a crowd, beside them. With us, same thing. We try not to play here a lot. So when we do, we usually have, a couple hundred people at our shows. I think we had somewhere around 200 for headliners. There was another big band playing that night. So it was a really good night for us. So it's just, I would say that we're definitely a force in our own hometown.
Wow, look at that. Larry, you got anything for Ashton?
I do. What kind of advice would you give for, a local touring band coming to Kentucky? Not necessarily Louisville.
Louisville.
Whatever. I'm a native Kentucky guy. My whole family's from London. Laurel County down there. My brother was born in Corbin.
But you still say Louisville, like a Detroit guy.
Because
it's Louisville.
Because I'm from Detroit, bro.
Louisville.
But I know Corbin has an arena down there. What other places besides Louisville would you recommend somebody or a band going that area other than Louisville?
If you're a regional band that is has some draw, I would say Cave City has a theater up there. Louisville has Paris Town Hall. Lexington has I think Bogarts. I think Bogarts might be in Cincinnati. I'm not much out in Lexington. I used to live in Cynthiana, which is around Paris and London, Kentucky, I think. But I would say that, if you're a small band starting out, use Louisville as gas money. Come here on a Thursday, start doing acoustic things. Don't come here on a Friday, Saturday, because there's not a lot of money here for music. It's
come out and do the cover band acoustic thing. Right.
Well, you could still do originals, I guess, but you just have to, align yourself with bands in the area. Get out, introduce yourself to people. If you're going to come here on a Thursday, or if you're going to come here on a Friday, Saturday, find bands like Skipping Stones or Herdrada to open in front of and get, at least build a business relationship with venues, build a business relationship with bands. Cause like in my hometown, you see a lot of people, they'll bend over backwards for their inner circle, and their inner circle gets, has new people in it all the time, but it's hard to get into those inner circles. Like Louisville never really, warmed up to me. That's why I moved to Detroit, and I spent a year in Detroit playing in, Hazard Head and different bands like that. I moved down to Florida, played in bands, like Modern Superstar. We toured all around.
Oh my God. I remember Modern Superstar. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I probably met you before.
You probably have. So I cut my teeth as doing the hired gun thing. After Jamie Fletcher left Modern Superstar, they hired me on to keep touring and doing different things with that.
I think I saw that band play at Simon's.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
They we actually I seen them at Planet Rock. I was doing a house band, and the drummer was the driving force of that band. It was his band, and he was like, "Hey man, if this singer quits, I'll call you." So and he ended up calling me for a different band that they put on, and I think the rest was history from there. He gave me my first shot, and I met Bill Chavis, and here I am in Native Sons, still trying to make it and still out there doing it. So it's not like we're a new band and we just popped up and now we're, getting some traction. It's been boots to the ground for several years.
Nice.
So last thing I have, the rest of 2022, we still have 8 months left in this year. It looks like COVID seems to be, I don't want to jinx it, but something that's going to be a lot more manageable. We're not going to have the big shutdowns or anything like that anymore. What's the future look like for you guys? What's the rest of 2022? Going into 2023, are we looking at new music? Are we looking at longer, bigger tours? What are we looking at from Native Sons?
I would say you're going to be looking for new music, new videos. I want a new video every other month for the next little bit until we release the album. We're going to be releasing the album sometime in the later year. I would look for longer tours as well. We've been asked by several people, and our agent is currently working on a run with several bands throughout the year. May has been thrown around, but scheduling always gets pushed back or something always happens. So I don't want to give anybody false hope. But to me, my goal and my mindset, I'm aimed in on longer runs, new music, new videos, more Vivo stuff, more to come, more content, and just playing and being out on the road in general. That's what Native Sons is all about. It's playing live shows and rocking faces. That's what we're about.
So the crux of the story is go out, melt faces, put on a killer show, don't neglect your social media, Facebook Live, engage your fans, bring them into the inner circle, make them feel like they're part of something, and treat them as such, and just keep new stuff continually rolling, and stay out there and hit that pavement hard.
Yeah, it's a some bands treat it as a hobby, some bands treat it as a job. It's all depending on what you want out of it, but we're all co-creators, and I believe that. And you can, you ask the universe for something and you work hard at it and it'll give it to you. So
hashtag Celestine prophecy.
Yeah.
All right. So the video we're going to play after we get off the line with you in a minute, because it is 9:00 over here. Drama. Take us through that song.
Well, that song was actually written on some personal relationships I've had with people. And it's just like, things that people that are closest to you, you don't realize they're going to stab you in the back, and then they do. And it's just like, I seen it coming, but I didn't. And
Been there, homie.
The video was shot like a Martin Scorsese film, all one shot. So we wanted to touch on different things because Louisville, Kentucky had the riots, we had the protesters, we've seen both sides of the thing, and we're not trying to make a political statement, but we're trying to be like, let's move past this. Enough drama. Let's get back to music. Let's get back to the different things that we were doing. I've seen my city kind of collapse in on itself in the last few years with political differences, riots, just crazy things happening, tons. Our city's hurting, but I feel like our community has always bounced back. We have a very, very, tight knit community, and I have all the faith that they'll pull together. But it's
a blue collar community, man. Like Louisville, because my parents lived down in Kentucky, down in Greensburg, after I graduated from high school. So every time I'd come from Detroit down to Greensburg, it's in west Kentucky, pretty much. If you do the I don't know how the bird flies, it's halfway between Louisville and Nashville, and so I'd always stop in Louisville, and I'm like, dude, this is like there's a lot of parallels between Louisville and Detroit. Very blue collar. Yeah, you have your rich dudes in the bank buildings and all that, but a very blue collar community. I've hit a couple bars and I'm like, dude, these are the same people that hang out at the bars I go to in Detroit.
Yeah.
A bunch of blue collar dudes drinking Bud Light and shit like that and watching a football game, so, there's a lot of parallels between Louisville and Detroit. And I think that's maybe why, a band like Native Sons is doing so well up here in Detroit, because it's something that people can relate to. Right. It rings true to a lot of people up here. So,
well, I appreciate that, and I hope everybody likes drama up there. We've worked really hard on our record. We've recorded it right here in the state of Kentucky, in Cave City. So I hope that everybody enjoys it. I appreciate you guys giving your time and sharing the video as well.
And I will actually be showing up to that show. April 15th is my actual birthday. And I'm going to shoot down to Diesel just to see Native Sons. So I will be at Diesel. I'm going to be hanging out with my boy, Kyle Mikolajczyk, and seeing Native Sons, my actual birthday. So I'm going to head down there after the kids do their thing. I'm going to head the 5 minutes down to Diesel, check out Native Sons. You guys should all check them out too. So when people come to a Native Son show, people that might not have ever seen you before, what can people expect?
I would say a very high energy, very engaged show. We're all about, creating that ring of fire, and, it's about rock and roll. So it's, when you meet me, I'm, people often say I'm timid, and, I just become another person on stage, and I like to leave that for day of show, but I guess I'll tell you guys now, to expect at a Native Son show is just all out rock and roll. We try to put on, the best show possible, get people engaged in different things, try to create this, professional show that you would go see at an arena or something, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, I guess. But
there it is.
There it is. The Diesel Concert Lounge is an amazing venue, and I'm super excited to play it again. We opened for Wild Street back in last year. It's really cool to come back and headline. I love playing theaters, love playing lounges. It's going to be an amazing show for me personally, I think.
All right. So there it is. Ashton, we're going to let you go to bed. You have a big show coming up on Friday. You got to get all the way up here to Detroit. What are you guys driving in these days?
We're driving in a van I bought. It's an Econoline. We're just,
there it is.
We're very small right now, but we're quickly rising, and I hope we are able to buy a bus very soon.
It's better than the Ford Edge.
Yes, it's better than the Ford Edge. It's got I bought it from a couple down in Cave City. I bought it for like $2,900. It had 120,000 miles on it, all highway. They drove it 2 times a year, kept it really nice. I mean, it looks like it stepped off the showroom floor. It's got all the lights, interior lights work. It's a solid car. It's treated me well. It's gotten 20,000 more miles on it, but yeah, we've been traveling a long, long way. We went to Nebraska last year in it, and it's been a solid vehicle for me. So I'm excited to drive it and have it, but I'm going to be super excited to sell it off to some other band who's doing the exact same thing and seeing it get used to other places.
So there it is. Larry, you got anything else before we let him go?
Nope, I don't.
That's all Larry's got. All right, get some sleep. We will see you on Friday at Diesel. Shout out to Kyle Mikolajczyk, Metal Afro Promotions, doing phenomenal things over at Diesel, getting these independent bands a place to play up here in Detroit. There's not a lot of places that'll do it, but Kyle, love the guy, known him since he was like 13. And doing great things. Super proud of him. Super stoked to see you guys at Diesel. Dude, Ashton, take it easy, brother.
You too, Ricky. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, man. I'll see you on Friday.
See you then, guys.
All right. All right, that was Ashton Blake from Native Sons. We are going to jump right into their music video for Drama. We'll come back, close this thing down, and I'm going to get my ass to bed in the basement, because it's a thing when you're getting divorced, right? So here it is, Native Sons, Drama, their music video, Cave City, Kentucky. We'll be right back after this, episode number 134 of the Rikki ROXX Show, ROXX100.com.
Running
Whoops, I did it again. Yeah, as that song was playing, I was talking to Larry, and I'm like, dude, what is that music video from the 90s that the dude was just walking down the street? And we thought it was the Verve Pipe, but it wasn't the Verve Pipe at all. Let me throw that up there. God, what was it? It's boggling my mind now, because I can see the music video, and he was walking down the street. Oh, no, it's Bittersweet Symphony. That's what it was. Bittersweet Symphony. Let me see. Yeah, the Verve. Okay, so it was the Verve. It was, yeah. Remember this one? This douchebag looking dude, and he was just walking down the street bumping into people. Right. It was the Verve. Okay, that was like a British band, and that was like their one hit, and they got sued by like the Beatles. Okay, so anyway, it was the Verve, Bittersweet Symphony. So that's kind of what I got off that video. So super cool. So they're gonna be playing this Friday at Diesel. Larry and myself will be there. My actual birthday, turning 38 years old at 5:05 p.m. I know the date. I know the time I was born. 5:05 p.m. I'm going to make sure I have a drink in my hand in the bowling alley, because I think it's before doors. And I'm going to indulge myself in a Jack and Coke at 5:05 p.m. on April 15th and go rock out to Native Sons.
There you go.
Larry's going to be there. I'm going to be there. What do you want to play to end the show? Give me a band, Larry.
Give you a band.
I'm going to scroll. I'm scrolling.
We can play Sidine.
Let's do Sidine. Okay, Sidine. They're going to be playing the 13th annual Rikki ROXX birthday blowout coming up this Saturday at Simon's After Dark in Allen Park. Fallen Stronger. Larry's going to be singing his lovely voice, his operatic voice. You're going to be able to hear that in person. He's like Enya. He's like the Enya of heavy metal. Larry Smith. Sidine is going to be playing Casting Shadows, going to be playing Fatal Conceit and Crafty Conviction. Tickets are $10 at the door. Just got word it is going to be all ages. If you're under 18, you need to bring a parent, because I guess that's a thing. It's going to be super cool. Come on out either this Friday at Diesel to see Native Sons. I'll be there. The very next day, Simon's After Dark in Allen Park. We're going to close this thing down with some Sidine, and I'm going to get my bed ready in my swathy, nasty-ass, moldy basement, because divorce is a thing. So we will talk to you next week for episode number 135 of the Rikki ROXX Show, where we're keeping the Louisville, Kentucky thing alive. We'll be talking to Wild Ride.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Ashton brought them up a couple times. We're going to be talking to them next week on the big show right here on ROXX 100. You got anything to close out with?
Support local music.
There it is. All right. So here we go. Hate-spiration by Sidine right here, closing out episode 134 of the Rikki ROXX Show, ROXX100.com.
Money hungry bastards, you need it. Never do
kids, would you like to be a rock god the likes of David Lee Roth in his heyday? Then you need to get the
Rikki ROXX Rock God Starter Kit.
Each kit comes complete with black nail polish, eyeliner, sparkly scarf, an actual chick magnet, a velvet jacket to make all the girls go wild, and an over-the-hat skull cap with bandana accessory. Act Now will also include a handy booklet showing you all the best places to wear your sunglasses at night. Regularly a $29.95 value, now yours free when you take advantage of this fabulous offer. But don't act just yet. We'll also throw in a wall poster chart diagramming all the best rock faces to enchant your audience, proven to wet the ladies' panties in mere seconds. For all you newbies, this great kit also includes a CD demonstrating how to push your voice for the radio, taught by RIKKI ROXX himself. So quit being a big puss and man up rock style with the
Rikki ROXX Rock God Starter Kit.
Now yours for just $29.95 plus $99.95 shipping and handling. Call now. 1-800-ROCK-GOD. That's 1-800-ROCKGOD. Now. Operators and tattooed hookers are standing by to take your order.
Rikki ROXX, Rikki ROXX. It's Rikki ROXX, coming out of the box. Bitches come in flocks, trying to steal his jocks. We need to be contained with padded rocks. It's the Rikki ROXX show, spreading like the pox. Rikki ROXX, Rikki ROXX. Rikki ROXX, Rikki ROXX, yeah. Rikki ROXX, Rikki ROXX. Rikki ROXX, Rikki ROXX, yeah. Rikki ROXX up in your grill, motherfucker.
Hey, this is Rikki ROXX, and you are listening to ROXX100.com.